Welcome to Inspiring Teachers. Another great day to talk to an amazing teacher, and we're no short of expectation. I'm not sure what that really means, but John Spike is here with us. Words are hard sometimes, John, and we appreciate you coming on to talk about your journey through talking.
Yeah, glad to be here. Be careful giving me the microphone. Sometimes I have trouble giving it up.
Hey, man, I
okay.
know the story. I love the chance. We were at a rally. This is my first year teaching high school. I did 4 years in middle. And all he wanted was for each teacher, 9 new teachers, to pass the microphone along and say hello. And I told him, "What's up, Heritage? How you doing?" And I was like, "You shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have given it to me. That was his first mistake." Can you tell us, John, you do a lot in gaming, a lot in tech, a lot of coordination. What's your journey into education? How'd you get started?
Well, I'm one of those weirdos who I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, like in high school, and actually stuck with that. So I wanted to be a high school English language arts teacher, and did that coming out of college. So I did that for 3 years and loved every second of it. But I got an invite from a former colleague. She said, "Hey, I'm going up to this new district. I want you to be a tech coach there." And she said, she goes, "I know you don't want to leave the classroom, but think of reach and think of the number of students you could reach outside that 120 you have." And so I went and became a tech coach, and did that for about 4 years, up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and loved every second of that too. And then I got an email from my best friend. He had been trying to subtly get me back to southern Wisconsin, where I grew up with him. And he just sent me a link, and it said, "Just saying," was the subject line. And I opened it up, and it's just a link. And I was like, is this like a trick? Is it like a gross video that he's trying to send me? And I open it up, and it's a job posting to work at a university and basically kind of coordinate their technology integration for the College of Education. And at first I'm like, no way, higher ed, not touching that. With a 100-foot clown pole, right? And for lack of a better term here.
There is no best term.
Yeah, use that from now on. 100.
Feel free to use that in future interviews. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I'll interview and just hear them out. And they basically said, "Hey, we want this to evolve with the person. We want to turn out pre-service teachers who are passionate about technology and innovative teaching." And I said, "Where do I sign up?" And it turns out it was there. There's where I sign up. So I've been doing that for 2 years, and really been enjoying that. I've been fortunate, to find 3 jobs I loved, and I left the previous one because I found something I might love more. So I've been blessed.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what does it look like that you're teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I teach 2 courses right now at the university, and then the rest of the time I'm kind of coaching with staff to integrate technology, or coaching pre-service teachers in tech integration. But the one course I'm teaching is like my dream course. I'm kind of shocked that I'm teaching it right now. It's called Video Games and Learning. And so myself and 2 other teachers, we actually kind of facilitate with either game design students or pre-service teachers, kind of things to think about to decide either are they utilizing a good game for learning, or are they designing a good game that could have these learning principles in it. So that's one. Like I said, I don't
actually teach them how to design their own games?
So we don't necessarily do, well, I shouldn't say that. For those media and game design students, we want them to think through that lens. They already know how to design games, but we help them think about how to maybe implement some good strategies or skills that are going to make it a good learning game. And then the other side of the coin is, how can you identify good games for learning that are already out there?
Mm-hmm.
A kind of side project of mine is trying to design a good game for learning. But in the class, we focus more on identifying, I'd say.
Very interesting. And so what are the qualities of a good game? If I'm a teacher and I'm looking at some of the games, there are a lot of resources online. You put your kids down in front of something that says, this is a math game website, and before you know it, they're just jumping through hoops, literally, and
collecting coins.
Coins, and it's like, this is not a good learning tool. So what do you look for in a good game?
Oh man, you're right in my wheelhouse right now. I could go on for this. Is like that microphone thing, give a teacher a microphone, right? So I'll try to keep it succinct. But one big thing is, you want to ask yourself, are the skills transferable? So what you do in the game, does that translate to something you do in life? The example I always give in sessions or workshops I give is, there's this game. It's called it's from Some Dog, and they've got very engaging games, but one thing you do is you answer math problems, and then you stack garbage, and you want to have the largest garbage stack in the game, right? You're competing against players all over the world to stack garbage. I have nothing against stacking garbage. I do it every day. I'm quite good at it, I feel like. But the skill doesn't translate, right? I answer 3 plus 4 and then I stack garbage. There's a disconnect. Whereas another game, I could give you an example of the Republic of Times is kind of the one I counterbalance it with, where my job in that game is to convince this country as the editor of a newspaper to be more loyal to the new regime. So I'm actually picking news articles and dropping them in and trying to bring in readership and convince my readers to buy into the new regime. So I'm thinking critically about, what is going to sell them on this new regime. So those are transferable skills, right? I could go out and I'm not going to necessarily like propagandize a third world nation or anything, but I can in the real world think critically about what is going to be persuasive for my readers. So the skill translates when I'm doing the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does make sense. It also sounds very fun.
Yeah.
So you've done a great job, right? It's not like you've composed a homework assignment here. You've got something really enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And this really speaks to the whole idea of taking technology to the next level, where you're not just dropping a Chromebook in front of a kid and having them fill out a Google Doc as opposed to a piece of paper. It's really taking it to a whole nother realm of higher learning. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. Another, kind of building off that, one thing that frustrates me is I see a lot of companies advertising their learning games as don't let kids find out they're learning. Like it's a big secret, like we should trick them. And that's it's like, it frustrates me that we think like we have to trick students into learning. There's plenty of experiences that we can provide where the students realize, I'm in this game or experience, but they also see the value to it, And so one of my biggest frustrations is like, there's this company that advertises like, shh, don't tell kids it's a learning game. It's like, well, if it's hiding the fact that it's learning within it, it's probably not a good learning game.
I mean, it is school, right? So it's like, quick, let's take them to school and hide the fact that we're trying to teach them.
It's like you at Wisconsin at the university, you're not closing the shades and the blinds like, all right, everyone, it's time. And they're like, what is he doing? Yeah, it's true, though. And there is so much just kind of garbagey games out there that's flash and bright colors, and they throw a question in every once in a while. The stuff you were talking about sounds really much more deep and rewarding, immersive, and like you said, transferable skills. I thought you were going to say when everyone was playing Guitar Hero and no one was learning any songs on guitar. Timing, maybe, right? And they were fun. That has a place, right? Fun has a place, but
it wasn't a learning game.
But when Rocksmith came out and you could use the actual guitar with the tone cable, I was like, finally, we've gotten some people will be learning skills. So that's really cool.
Are there any resources that you would like to direct our viewers to that have games like this that they could use in their classrooms?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of my favorite ones recently shut down, but there's a ton of other ones out there where you can kind of find ideas. Common Sense actually does a really good job of, they've got an entire, you can actually do their little drop down for resources to games, and they'll actually list a bunch, and they're student and teacher reviewed, so you can find out if students and teachers like the games. You can find out a little bit about what they're accessible on.
That's called Common Sense.
Yep, Common Sense, Graphite. They have a section where you can actually just narrow down by games. So just thinking about like searchables, that's a really great opportunity. And spoiler alert, like insider trading info here, like I helped out on a site called Game Index. Mallory Kesson started it up, but basically educators reviewing games. So I reviewed games. Mallory reviewed a ton. We had two other gentlemen, one from higher ed, one from administration perspective, who reviewed the games, and we rated them based on just overall enjoyability. Like, is this an engaging game to play, and what's the educational value? Is it something that's accessible? Is it something that is real world skills? Is it something that's scalable for different ability levels? So gameindex.org. Common Sense is Graphite. Searchable by games is really good. The one that shut down was called Educate. I really loved it. It was a searchable game database, but as educational game companies find out, sometimes there's not enough money in the edu-game realm to keep float, and I think that's what happened with Educate. But those are two, if you're looking for just trying to find games and be able to search based on different criteria like subject or age or platform, those are two to find the games.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll try to add that into the show notes as well so that people will be able to just click on it.
Yeah, for sure. What inspires you and informs your instruction? What do you look at? What do you play that you're like, oh, this is so great, I can't wait to translate this or tell people about this? What gets you excited?
Oh, so many things get me excited. I think, seeing what other educators are doing is huge. I've taken a bunch of inspiration from a number of hashtags. So I watch the Games for Ed hashtag. They're actually chatting right now as we speak. I don't know when people are watching this, recording, but
Sure.
they were right at this moment. I am missing it for you guys. I want you to know
Oh.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
They do a lot of cool stuff, and they give so many great demos and stuff that it's always a fun conversation.
Yes. So Games for Ed is great. I get inspiration from just the GBL hashtag, game-based learning. XPLAP, Michael Matera's kind of hashtag about explore like a pirate. Those are some very communities who have thought about what can games bring to education and how can we leverage what's so engaging about them, whether it's the cooperative nature, whether it's the competitive nature, whether it's the that idea that you start and you're building a set of skills. I think games do such a great job of translating what we want to instill in students, which is you're this character on this epic journey, and to get where you want to go, you need to hone your skills. So games do exactly what we
The
aim to
hero's
do.
journey right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
And
build
John
dummies roll
Spike,
on. Yeah.
today you're my hero. Thank you for sharing stuff with your journey. I just have one more question. You do a lot, and I love your passion. That's what inspires me. That's what we want this show to be. Great ideas, teachers who care, and really are working to push boundaries further. If you have students, pretend that you're visiting with either instructors that you work with or training, what would you like them to learn from you besides just the curriculum that you're teaching?
I think I just want them to you kind of mentioned it. I want them to fall in love with good problems. That's one thing that has been really eye-opening to me this last year. I went to a lot of different events where design thinking was being talked about, and the one thing I kept hearing over and over was fall in love with good problems. And I think if we instill that in ourselves, in our students, find a good problem out there to solve, I think that's really cool. That's kind of where I got my inspiration. My problem was teachers would come up to me and say, it's not easy to implement games. And so that was my problem I fell in love with this past year.
That's the problem that you're exploring. And that's really how life is as well. It's problem solving. We figure it out on the fly. We have to use the tools we have. And the more we can give that to our students, the better prepared they are for real life.
Absolutely. And the more we can share with each other, the better we all get for the community involved. Jonathan Spike, thank you so much for being our guest on Inspiring Teachers. We wish you all the best, and come back and join us again sometime.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, guys.
So much.
All right. For Tavis Beam and Danny Hogger, we'll see everyone on the next edition. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and have a wonderful day. And class is dismissed. Talk to you later.